We are in Elwood after a town hall meeting with Nebraska 3rd District Congressman Adrian Smith. We're in the August break. What are you hearing from constituents?
Well, they're concerned about the reach of the federal government, that the White House would go around Congress, virtually against the wishes of the American people.
Coming out today, looks like the Science Committee finally got a map of the waters of the U.S. that EPA has been targeting. We're still kind of evaluating that, but it looks like could be some very interesting times for agriculture, really almost everybody that deals with water, which is just about everybody.
Well, that's right. When I hear from county officials concerned that their desire to grade a gravel road, for example, would need a federal permit, that concern has been expressed as a result of this, what seems to be a big power grab and a political decision by the EPA, not scientific, but a political decision by the EPA that runs counter to what, clearly runs counter to what Congress intended.
We are weeks away from the fall harvest. All reports are it's going to be a near bumper crop, if not a record crop, but there are transportation issues, especially dealing with rail. With what's going on in the Dakotas, we've been hearing this for a long time up there with the backup because of petroleum. We can't get grain commodities out. We're hearing reports in Nebraska especially could hamper some Nebraska wheat sales. What can Congress do, if anything, to kind of help speed that up or to make sure that that agriculture is not unduly harmed due to other rail concerns?
Well, the White House, the President needs to approve the pipeline, the Keystone Pipeline. There's a lot of science that can back this up, a lot of common sense, but clearly the safest way to transport oil in this case would be through a pipeline, and therefore allowing rail capacity to ship the grains upon harvest, or the processed grains being ethanol or various other products that are much more appropriately hauled on rail. Because there aren't other options. There are these options, hopefully, with better infrastructure, with petroleum, and quite honestly, right now we're considered the Saudi Arabia of natural gas, and yet we don't have the infrastructure to transport that and to get that to market. Consumers end up taking the brunt of that bad policy.
When you get back after Labor Day, you only have a few weeks, really a few days left to get any meaningful things done. You're on Ways and Means, tax extenders, tax policy that really needs to be taken care of so we don't stop any job progress we're making, right?
Well, we've passed a lot of bills in the House already relating to taxes, not comprehensive tax reform. I hope that we can still head in that direction. But the fact of the matter is, there are over 300 bills that we have passed out of the House that Harry Reid in the Senate won't even schedule for debate or vote. And, reducing debate, taking debate virtually away from the American people, because that's what's happening. That's not right. It's undermining the process of what our founders had in mind. And really, it has nothing to do with the issues. This is about power. That Harry Reid is trying to hold on to. I think it's problematic, and again, consumers hurt the most, and they hurt before really anyone else will.
We talk a lot about domestic issues, but we also have to look foreign issues as well. And I'm sure when you get back to Washington, you'll be looking at some of those situations, some of the unrest in parts of the world. And we know that rural America contributes an awful lot to our armed forces. Talk about that, and really what should the position of Congress be as we look at some of these hot spots? We
want to first of all stand behind our men and women in uniform who are out there in harm's way. They should not become political pawns. There have been, I think, too many political messages sent through our armed services, and I don't like that. Whether it's mission accomplished that was displayed by our former president or our current president, bragging for political reasons that he was removing troops from Iraq. And now we found out, we're finding out that was probably premature. That's unfortunate because there was a more stable situation in Iraq with some of our presence there, but that political objective of removing our troops, I don't think is a good thing. But we need to stand behind our men and women in uniform, our veterans. The VA has had problems. That's so unfortunate, but it's an example of planning in Washington, D.C. that just doesn't reflect the needs of individuals themselves or rural communities. That's one of the reasons why I started the Rural Veterans Caucus, and I currently chair that. So to reflect on the unique needs of rural America. I'm not saying that the cities are bad necessarily in this case, but rural is different. and we want policies to reflect that.
Speaking of the VA, are we cleared up a little bit more as far as getting some action, making sure our veterans are taken care of better?
I think the legislation that we passed at the end of July, beginning of August, is a step in the right direction. I'm not going to promise that it resolves all of the concerns that veterans might currently have, but we need to be attentive. Let's get this legislation enacted and implemented and address needs moving forward.
Congressman, thanks.
Thank you.
Congressman Adrian Smith, 3rd District in Nebraska, has joined us from Elwood. For AgView, I'm Ken Rogers.